director of the Halloween and Exorcist remakes moves on to create this original Christmas comedy over on Hulu. But is it worth your time? Hello and welcome to Cinema, where we focus on a film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know in the comments below. Have you seen the Nutcrackers? Is it good? Is it bad? Or somewhere right in the middle? Make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already to join in the film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole. And getting right into synopsis. When Mike is about to make the biggest deal of his life in the business in this big city, he's called on over to rural Ohio in order to help out with fostering the kids that it has caused from his sister's passing. And take it in positives, this is a warm-hearted Christmas film that just really livens up the environment, and the most positive aspect is getting these four siblings that are representative of the boys that are sort of troublesome, cause some trouble throughout the movie, have to figure out life as they're trying to figure out life without their parents. Their uncle Michael is brought over to there from being on the verge of getting this business deal done, trying to work throughout that period of time, trying to figure out how to find a new foster home for these four boys, and how that all comes about. There's different circumstances that come about here and there. That's just generally something that you know where it's going, but it's harmless in the sense of the imagination that it builds up, and there's great thematic elements with its themes, what it's doing with fosterhood, with fatherhood and motherhood, and the loss of parents that really touches on a sweet sentimental area that certain people that have felt that, or even just are empathetic to that area where people have lost someone in their life deeply, especially becoming orphans. That's where it really livens up a sense of humanity within the Christmas spirit, that the Christmas element isn't a strong part of the movie. It's not teaching on specific Christmas themes. It's not Santa Claus or Frosty Snowman or anything along the lines of that, but it does work in the background scenery of what the movie is all about, and of course the warm-heartedness to what Ben Stiller has to work in as Michael just adds in that sense of humanity that Ben Stiller has to learn, that sense of humanity that does double down on what the kindness and cheeriness of the Christmas spirit can be all about, exploiting joy in this sense of humanity and being able to grow over himself and be able to grow into these children. What all that is all about can go into organic circumstances to which even the actors that are the boys that are all real life siblings, the chemistry is just down flat, just really good for the nature of where you're working it. And there's certain aspects to the dialogue that can feel very random. It doesn't have a concrete structure for point A to point B, but you're still following along this organic life structure that it becomes something unique and special, because some of the dialogue can feel very random, going on different topics in different circumstances that doesn't necessarily feel like it has a specific target point, but that also works in its favor of feeling like they have the right chemistry with working each other and the kids just going on these random behaviors or being able to behave in the realistic circumstance that they're put in. But that takes it right into mixed elements, to which there's predictable moments here and there that just goes about along the way that almost feels like, well, yes, it doesn't necessarily need to be explained in something. Movies don't always have to have a strong twist or become something that's completely out of left field. This feels like it has something where it's very formulaic. All the jokes you have seen before, have heard before in some stretch of imagination. And so it feels like Ben Stiller, while he has a good performance, is just going along the motions of his performance. Something he's sort of outgrown this certain character that is being presented on screen. While it may have some sense of the emotions with its thematic elements, it still has that formulaic substance where you've seen something like it before, something that goes about along the lines that just doesn't feel like it has the right amount of spice to change things up a bit, especially even with its jokes. Something like, it just doesn't feel like it's trying to change anything to what we've seen before, whether they feel like they're creating something original or not. Just what all is going on with the directing is just something that really falls flat at certain periods, especially in the beginning of the film. It takes a little bit of time to get to the actual idea, knowing where the story is all headed, how we're being able to understand who Ben Stiller is. But at the same time, there are certain love interests or romantic elements that you know exactly where it's going. Once they sort of introduce some characters head on some certain direction where they do some head nods toward a certain element, a certain trope we've seen before in comedies, or other things that go about along the lines just with dramas in general. And so that's just with the foster care system. It goes about with something that you just generally know what to expect going throughout this film. It's not something I would not recommend to anyone because it still has those good elements here and there, but when it doesn't have the element of surprise and feeling all of these sense of familiarities throughout the film, it just was just a film that became a background noise in one sense, even as I was paying attention to it just about the whole time, which takes me right into the negatives. There are certain key elements to certain subplots, certain revelations with characters, what they were working on, who Ben Stiller was representing as Michael, certain parts of his career or certain parts of the foster care agent, what they're all going along with that felt incomplete by the end of where they sort of settled in the conclusion of the story. I felt it had a nice ending, especially with where it was going with its emotions, but at the same time, there were things where, yes, you got that gradual, slow build of the plot that may have been a little bit too slow in some standards. Maybe the story could have been packed a little tighter or added a lot more breadth to what was going on with the story. For me personally, it feels like it was at the odd position at an hour and 45 minutes where I can't really tell if I wanted less of the film or wanted more of the film, because with all of these small little extra subplots that didn't get fully completed, it felt like either they could have removed them, which would take away the substance of the character that it provided for, or added a lot more, which could have just extended the experience way too long. So it's at this awkward experience where something needed to be completed or removed or just changing something altogether. But that also coincided with the fact that I just wasn't as big of a fan of the formulaic substance that was all going about, that just didn't click in all the right ways for me. Yes, it may have hit in certain emotional areas, but it didn't build to its full breadth that it could have with what you're tackling with the foster care system, how all that goes about, with heartfelt loss that you could be diving deeper into. And so it really tried to do something that just didn't click in any of the right areas fully, because they're tackling on certain jokes that I've seen before, certain moments of drama that I felt before. So while I felt certain things here and there, it just didn't really have anything new to say or leave an impact for me by the end of the day. So it could be one that it just ends up being forgettable by the end of the day. And so that's just my personal review for the Nutcrackers, which I have to rate as simply 5 out of 10. Not too bad, but very formulaic. Let me know down in the comments. So, have you seen Nutcrackers? Is it good? Is it bad? Or somewhere right in the middle? Let me know all of that. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already to join in the film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole. So that's just all, and make sure to do yourself a favor and go watch a movie.